So yeah, so I would say that it's good to have, oh, he is on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
Everyone.
Jesse.
We're talking about you. Yes.
I'm like, hey, I know
Yeah.
she's got places up there.
Hi, Jesse.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Um, I don't know if I mentioned to you that I got your contact information from Kurt Sutherland, who's also on our call.
What's up,
And
Kurt?
joins us on our groups here, but he is traveling to Wisconsin Dells right now. So he said his service is spotty, but he did want to jump on.
Okay.
So thank you for joining us. We are recording and we'll share this with the rest of our group as well. And we may have some others jumping on here last minute, but thank you for coming on. I've been watching some of your videos and that recent YouTube video that was out there as well. So that was helpful. As we've been talking about, I mean, sometimes you don't realize you need to know how to do some of these things until you're in the situation where you need to know how to do it. So I'm currently, I had to get creative with one of my listings. So I'm working through my first contract for deed right now and learning a lot. But I guess this is how we, right? This is how we grow. So
absolutely.
So thanks for coming on. I'm hoping you can just give us a little background. Obviously I've heard a little bit about it, but love to hear firsthand how you got into this, where you came from and what you're kind of doing today.
Sure. My pleasure. My pleasure. I gotta ask real quick though. Yeah. Kurt, you're going to Wisconsin Dells. Are you going shopping on there because you saw some of my places on there? What are you doing down there, buddy? Can you chime in? I want to know where Kurt's going.
Hey, Jesse, can you hear me?
I can, yep.
Yes. What are we doing? We're spending a rainy day in Wisconsin Dells here. Kind of a rainy day. So, Jesse and I talked briefly about one of his places out here, right?
Are you going there mainly for the vacation, or are you kind of doing some work too? I know you're obviously, I know you're heading there.
Yeah. My brother's here from Germany, so we were going to do something a little fun, a little different in the area. Wisconsin Dells. He's got a son that's 17. I've got a son that's 15. We thought Wisconsin Dells would be kind of a fun place to hang out. So we're here for a couple of days.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Have a good time. I know you're all right. Enjoy it. Well, so you're on the road right now. Drive careful. Keep an eye out for those cops in 94. They hide all over.
Okay. Will do. Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I want to, answer any questions that you guys have. I want to share, what information I've got. I pack in a lot of years into a short amount of time here. One thing I would say is for everyone that's on the call right now, and anyone who's watching this later, right? Hopefully people are watching this at another time as well. If you can, before you even get rolling, get out a piece of paper, okay? If you have paper, old school paper, and paper, anyone not have any paper? You have to type? You got to type? Go ahead and you're going to basically make 3 columns, okay? 3 columns. But if you have paper, what I want you to do is I want you to do a line, a vertical line, and another vertical line. So you're going to have 3 columns. And at the very top of it, you're going to do a nice little line across. So you have like a heading, okay? And once you do that, your first column is going to be buyers, okay? Your second column is going to be sellers or listings. And then your third column is going to be investors. Okay? Makes sense? So you got 2 lines, 3 columns, heading across the top, buyers, then you've got sellers or listings, sellers/listings. Perfect. Angie's got it. Boom. Boom. And then investors on the third, okay? So we all attend a lot of meetings. Meetings are great. Coaching's great. Training is great. But I don't ever want to be on stuff just to be on it because, it's just stuff and it's talking and it's words and it's time. I have gotten to a place where I'm a lot better than I used to be, but I have a lot of work to do still with really trying to value my dollar per hour time, okay? And as business owners, that's what we have to think, okay? You have to think that, what is your per hour time worth? And I've got a little saying, and I can't take full credit for it. A good friend of mine who's a very successful entrepreneur, he's always preaching about, hey, if it's not worth your time or your joy, don't do it. Okay. Now, time or joy, and time for money. Okay. So for example, if I can pay someone to go mow my lawn because I don't want to, and I can go make 400 or 500 an hour and pay somebody 60 an hour or 20 an hour to mow my lawn, I'm going to go do that. Right. Now, maybe I love to mow my lawn. Maybe it's a stress reliever. Maybe I just got a new rider. I pop open a beer. I put on a podcast. Right now it's joy. So who cares? Right. It's joyful. So anyways, I like people to be really conscious about their time. And so during this presentation and time we have together, my goal is to make every single one of you at least $1,000. Okay. Bare minimum. Like I want to Venmo you, or I suppose we should run it through as a referral, right? Compliantly. I want to give you $1,000 from this call today. And again, even if you're watching this later, recorded, okay, $1,000. So those 3 columns are ways that we can do that very easily. Okay. So getting back to, I guess, a little bit about me and my story. It's not about me, it's about you guys and how I can help you guys. Okay. But I have been an entrepreneur most of my life. I'm sure like a lot of us, right? You've kind of done different things. And I was mowing lawns in high school. I had, I think, 40 different accounts by the time I was a senior in high school. In college, I had a sunglass kiosk business. So I had a store in Eau Claire, one in Duluth, and one in Madison. Dropped out of college after 4.5, 5 years to just basically be an entrepreneur. And then 9/11 came, and then all of a sudden that wiped us out because no one was shopping for like a year. It was crazy. I remember when that, like, no one left the house. It was crazy. And so, I had a lot of ups and downs, right? And I was in college, and a buddy of mine he dropped out. And so this is not, if you have kids who go to college, this is a good webinar to watch, right? But a buddy of mine, he dropped out of school. We went to Eau Claire, and he went and got a job doing mortgages. And I didn't even know the heck a mortgage was. I'm like, what is a mortgage, right? He's like, oh, that's what you get on a house, and that's how you buy a house. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And so I'm like, what do you do all day? He's like, I just call a bunch of people, right? I call 60, 80 people a day, and I get them to try to get a lower interest rate on loans they have. And they told me what he made his first year. And this is in our 20s. And I'm like, oh my God, that's more than my parents make. And I'm like, you just hit the phones and call people all day? I'm like, I think I can do that, right? So I did that and kind of fell into the mortgage business in my early 20s, mid 20s. So I spent about 15 years doing mortgages. I was doing mortgages in 2008. That was a fun time. Who here was selling houses or in real estate in 2008? Yeah, Lisa?
Yeah, Christy was.
Yeah, okay. Right? Fun stuff, right? Fun stuff. Holy cow. So what a lesson does that teach, right? So I'm happy to tell you that I'm a very transparent guy. So not happy with this situation, but I'm happy to be honest about it. I went through a bankruptcy. I short sold my own house, right? I went from, thinking I was pretty hot stuff. I never killed it. Like, I'm not like some of, my friends who are like, oh my God, how are you in the top 100, 200 in the country? Just, I don't think I want that lifestyle, frankly. I'm more of a lifestyle guy, right? But killing it, right? But, I always did good. I did good. And, working from home, right? It was fantastic. And all of a sudden, like, after 08 came, I'm like, oh my Lord, my bills were still there, but the loans were gone. And I couldn't do the same loans. And all of a sudden people were like, oh, I don't want this loan anymore. Like, what do you mean? You're approved? Like, no. And the banks would stop taking the loans. And so all of a sudden you couldn't get deals done. So I ended up, living, based on always having the money coming in I thought I could make. And that changed pretty quickly. So that was one of the first biggest lessons is, okay, you know what? Number one, I want to not be on the hamster wheel of always having to go make money to keep my lifestyle. And I also at that point realized that, hey, I'd never been an investor and I wanted to start having kind of, making money for me. But I was like, hey, I just went through bankruptcy. I just short sold my own house, right? How the heck am I going to get into real estate right now? And a lot of people are like this, right? Let's be honest. If billion-dollar banks were going under, the little man or little woman who's there, with a team of, whatever by themselves, you're not making it unless you were very, very smart, frugal, right? Stocked away, which, you know, God bless the people that think like that, but that wasn't me. So I'm like, okay, I got to kind of start all over. I ended up getting out of the mortgage business for a while, like 2-3 years. I was a manufacturer's rep. So I worked for Columbia Sportswear and Sorel, Canada Goose, Hydro Flask. I love the outdoors. I love, you know, to be outside and exercising and playing and traveling. So I sold all this, you know, gear and stuff, which was pretty fun. Traveled 8 states, but then, you know, got married and realized I was traveling all the time, and things kind of started shaking out a little bit in the mortgage business. Okay. So I ended up, you know, kind of thinking, okay, let's get back in the game, right? I was good at it. I liked it. But I want to start getting more into real estate, not just mortgages. You know, I kind of felt a little bit like a commodity, right? I'm kind of like the bottom of the barrel, right? Let's be honest. It's a loan officer, like everything kind of runs down to the loan officer, and whether it's good news or bad news, it's not even their news necessarily. Anyone have any experience in the mortgage business by chance? Because sometimes I find folks have been in that side or this side. Okay. So
we have one joining us right now.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yes.
And I let her in. I don't know how I had the power, but I let her in. So she's there. Nikki's coming.
Yeah.
Hey, Nikki. So I'm like, okay, I want to get into the real estate side. And ironically, which is funny, I think it's really funny, I never did any mortgages or bought any property back when you could do it with 0 down, right? And like, hey, no money down, you can have crappy credit, you can say you work at Quick Trip and make 200 grand a year, right? And you just get it. I never did any real estate that way when it was easy. Should have. Granted, I probably would have done what everyone else did, which is just buy based on, you know, appreciation and hoping it's going to be worth way more money, and right, no cash flow, no fundamentals. So I want to get back in the game. Well, I started just poking around. I was starting, you know, podcasts were just kind of coming out. I started listening to podcasts, started, you know, YouTube was getting a lot bigger, right? And I got on YouTube and I was looking at different things, and I found a guy selling a course on lease options. And a lease option, right, is essentially rent to own, lease to buy. And this guy was like, hey, here's how you can buy property, no money down, no credit, and you don't need the banks, and you can buy property this way and you can sell it. Well, fast forward now, you know, I don't know, probably about 10 years later, 11 years later, this is a friend of mine. We do stuff back and forth, and he's an awesome coach. But the guy just kills. He's a great info marketer, but he's done hundreds and hundreds of creative deals. So I kind of learned from him by buying this course. And now I do some, you know, education and coaching, and I'm super grateful to people that teach, that are showing, you know, other ways to do things, right? And it's funny. I don't know where it kind of came from, because people say, how'd you kind of get into this? Because my parents are like, oh, if it's online, it's a scam, right? If someone's asking you for money, it's a scam. And I'm like, well, I'm the kind of person that's like, well, what if it's not, right? I spent $997, because that's the magic number these days, right? $997 on this online course. I'm like, well, what if it's legit, right? And so what if it works? Because this guy's showing case studies, examples of how he made $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. I'll drop $1,000, and if I get screwed, I got screwed. But what if it works? And so, again, as a loan officer, I kind of got into this a couple of different ways, and how you guys are involved in this is coming in just a second. So, but it does, I think it helps, because I have a kind of a leg in the real estate business and a leg in the mortgage business, which is why this is very different. In our company, we have a very good track record and success rate because of that, I think. Okay. Anybody can just throw a couple people together and hope it works out. My background is literally, you know, having done hundreds of mortgages and loans. I know underwriting, I know guidelines, I know what to look for, right? And so that's the big difference, I think. But so I bought this course, I listened to it, I followed it, I did it, and I did my first deal. I made $8,000. So I'm like, sweet, I paid $1,000, I made $8,000, it works. And the coolest thing was I helped this couple, a really nice couple, Chad and Kelly. I remember their names. I remember everything about the deal. They had 4 kids, they ran a daycare. They went through a divorce before they got married, and then they were self-employed. Okay, so 2 big things, right? Divorce, self-employed. On your pieces of paper, write these down under buyers, by the way, right? So write these down in your buyers section. Nikki, I think you missed the beginning, but I want you to take out a piece of paper. If you have paper, do you have paper? Awesome. Take a piece of paper, pen, pencil, crayon, boom, right there. Chrissy's got it. Just like that. So you got a buyer column, then you've got a sellers/listing column, and you have investor column. Okay, investor or landlord, if that makes your brain think a bit more. Okay, so in your buyers, write down divorce, write down self-employed, business owner, right? Chad and Kelly, my first couple I ever helped. So here's the coolest thing about this. Okay, this is kind of, this all is around 2011. Okay, this is when I started blowing my world. So I'm like, okay, I didn't really know anything about this. Someone's a guru in this, and they're making money on selling it, which is pretty cool, right? They did the training one time, and they're helping people. They're helping people make money, which is great. But then it works, and I did this deal, and I made $8,000 on a deal I would have made zero on, because there was zero way Chad and Kelly were going to get a mortgage with me. So they were not going to get the mortgage. They were not going to get a house. I just happened to know, well, there's another way I can still get them a house. No one wants a loan. They don't want a mortgage. They want what they want, which is the house. Okay. So I got them the house on a rent to own. And I knew, again, because I had spent, that many years in the mortgage business, I knew that bankruptcy is a 24-month window for FHA, right? Literally 24 months from the discharge date. That's the rules and the guidelines for FHA, right? 4 years for conventional, Fannie and Freddie. And the self-employed thing, I'm like, okay, well, stop writing off everything, right? And you got to go a couple of years looking really good on paper. And so I'm like, this is what they need to do, right? So in my head, like, I'm kind of a visual, like I picture two clocks. There's two imaginary clocks spinning, right? There's the bankruptcy, or I'm sorry, the divorce. The divorce led to a bankruptcy. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that. Put down bankruptcy. Divorce led to a bankruptcy and self-employed. So we got three of the big things to look for, okay? But then your buyer column. Bankruptcy, divorce, and self-employed. So I knew that there was this imaginary clock spinning of 24 months that they are in a black hole. Like, everything else could be great. Everything. They could have an 850 credit score and make, $1 million a year, but they're not going to qualify because they haven't been past 24 months of having that discharge of their bankruptcy. That's it. It's a rule. And then I also know the self-employed, well, they got to go a couple of years and, again, look good on paper, stop writing off so much, and do that. So they needed time. But here's what they did have, okay? Stable monthly income. They had money down. They were going to go live somewhere anyways. And so I helped them get into the home that they wanted. And again, I was a loan officer. I wasn't an agent at the time yet. I did a lot of real estate, by the way, for over a decade, not as an agent. So if whoever, it's funny when people talk about stats, I'm like, my stats probably look horrible. I do so much stuff out of state that I'm not licensed in. I do as referral fees. I do as coaching and consulting, right? But I'm not licensed. I'm only licensed in Minnesota, but I do a lot of stuff in Wisconsin, Florida, and then through our coaching program, we're all over the place. So anyway, so this is Wisconsin, but I'm like, okay, you just need 2 to 3 years. And if you follow these steps, you should be good to go in 2 to 3 years. Okay. So they got the house, super pumped. They were like, oh my God, we would have just rented some crappy townhouse that we couldn't fit in. We couldn't get our daycare. I got them into a house that had 1 acre. It was against the St. Croix River. They loved it. Right. And they've been forever grateful. So I'm like, wow, mind blown. Okay. I would have made zero, number one. Number two, they would have walked away pissed off because, they came to me for a house and they couldn't get it. It was, bare minimum an hour of my time out the window, right? And here I made $8,000. I wouldn't have even made $8,000 on the loan if the loan could have happened. So I made more money that way, and they got what they want. I'm like, oh my God, can you actually help people and like make money? I'm like, okay, how many more people are like Chad and Kelly? Okay, so I started looking for that more often. Okay, so you don't have to say who, right? We're not going to call out people, but anybody know anyone who's recently gone through a divorce or maybe going through a divorce anytime soon? Like over 50% of the country, sadly, right? More than not. Okay. I'm not saying just because you go through a divorce, you can't get a mortgage, right? I'm not saying that. But unfortunately, again, 15 years of doing lending, I don't care how good you look here, it's bad for a little while. It's bad for a little while, right? You pay that, I'm not paying that, screw you, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, everybody looks bad for a couple of years. There's still money there. There's still jobs, right? It's just, but something, credit drops. So that's a big one, okay? And again, usually with people in divorce situation, they might have to sell, okay? So you might have to sell as well and get a new one, okay? So you get a couple things happening there. Who knows someone who's self-employed? Anybody? Anybody know any business owners? Maybe agents, right? Okay. for us at Home Solutions Group, that's our company that I've had since 2011. 40-50% of our clients are probably self-employed. Okay, a lot of self-employed folks. Self-employed folks are great because number one, we're self-employed, right? And maybe this is your full-time, maybe this is your part-time, you have something else, but right, we get it. We get them and they get us. So self-employed folks either are new, starting out, right? Or they're not grossing enough, or they write off too much, which is the biggest thing. Now there's bank statement loans out there, right? But they're not always that easy to qualify for. Sometimes they're crazy crappy interest rates. Sometimes it's crazy money down, okay? So that's a lot of our clientele. So as you're jotting this down, the reason I'm saying this is number one, in your, hold on, let me take this out. I should have actually put this on Do Not Disturb. I typically do that. This right here, guys, hundreds of thousands of dollars is sitting in here. Hundreds of thousands are sitting in here right now. If you just go through and go bankruptcy, self-employed, divorce, business owner, okay? Sitting in here right now that you just don't know it. So a lot of what I do and I teach is how to make a lot more money, help a lot more people, and you don't have to spend a lot more money, which is great because it's relationships, it's your network, it's people you know, who they know, okay? So I started doing these deals more and more often, and pretty soon I was doing as many of these creative deals doing lease to own and contract for deed than I was doing mortgages. And then all of a sudden it started surpassing my mortgage business. And I was like, okay, with my mortgage business, I still kind of felt, like a commodity, right? People would be like, oh, what's your rate? What's your fees? Okay, cool, thanks. I'll go on to the next person. I'm like, whoa, like what makes me special? You're not special when it's just those two things you're getting shopped on, right? But when I started doing these deals, I'm, no one else is really doing this stuff and no one else really gets this stuff, okay? So again, where you enter the picture here, ladies, right now at this time, right, because there's no gentleman on the call, right, is you can be the people in your network, in your sphere, that is the creative problem solvers. You don't have to have the solution. You just need to connect them, okay? You need to know how to get them there, okay? So these people that need our services and need our services together are around us every day. We literally just help somebody. In fact, I'm doing a webinar, a big PowerPoint presentation for a new webinar we're putting on together. So I should have it somewhere, but I don't have it ready. But we've got a bunch of houses and testimonials and case studies. We helped a guy 2-3 weeks ago down in Eden Prairie buy an $800,000 house, beautiful home. The guy was qualified. So you might say, well, Jesse, why the heck would a guy buy an $800,000 house who could get a mortgage on a contract for deed through you guys at a higher price and at a little higher interest rate? Well, because he was only qualified for FHA. He couldn't get conventional. And he couldn't get conventional because he ended up, I think he missed a brand new credit card or something that wasn't on auto pay, right? Let's be honest, it's happened. 2 payments went by. Whew. His score dropped like 120 points. He was still decent, right? I mean, he's in the 600s. It's not horrible, but he wasn't where he needed to be to go conventional. And he wanted that house. So because he wanted that house, he was referred to us by his agent, who his agent is like, oh, I got this guy. By the way, he's a financial advisor. Just a screw up, just a little mix up. Guy who makes $20,000, $25,000 per month buying an $800,000 house, right? Imagine that commission you have coming. That's a nice commission check. All of a sudden that check went poof because they realized, this guy just thought he was good. Didn't realize his score had dropped that much. Didn't realize he couldn't get conventional. And then all of a sudden now he's like, I'm probably just going to wait. And the agent's like, well, wait a minute. Hold on, right? After all this work and time, and now you're not going to buy anything. Well, we paid the agent out because that's what we do. You get 100% of what you would have made if your buyer could buy, but they can't. But you still get 100% of what you would have made anyways. So that agent got paid again. We have a huge network of investors that we work with all over the country and locally, okay? And so people that want to be a part of our program, love our system on the investor side. Totally different animal. But so our investor got a great deal helping this couple out. We just basically are the glue that put it all together. And we know how to do it and we know how to piece this together. And the guy just needs time, right? He put down $80,000 down on this house. So yeah, about 10%. And we got it done and still kept the closing on track. Agent got paid. And so now he's got the house that he wants. And there's no reason to wait. Okay. So I want you guys to write down as well time. Okay. Because sometimes people just don't have the time. They don't have the time to wait. They don't want to. They want a specific property. Okay. I've got someone, an agent, not with EXP, but a different agent that was messaging me this weekend on Facebook. They're trying to get a deal done, but they don't have 20% down, but they want to get a short-term rental. We can make that work. So we work with investors too. So my world is people who can't buy, and then people who want to make money in real estate as investors. And then every once in a while, I kind of call it the wall, right? There's a wall. There's the people who can't, there's the people who can. And then sometimes there's people on the wall, right? They're like, well, I got 50 grand in the bank. I got money to invest, but I still can't qualify myself because I write everything off, right? So they're kind of in this weird spot where you're in the middle. Okay. So anyone know any landlords? Anyone who has rental properties, landlords want to be a landlord. Okay. All right. Anybody know any loan officers who work with a lot of investors? Okay. So write that down in your investor column right now. Boom. Right. Hello. Write that down in the investor column. I want you to write down any name that comes to your mind for landlords, investors, people that want to be. Maybe they're not even one yet, but they listen to Bigger Pockets all the time and they're asking you about investing all the time, but they don't do anything yet. Okay. Write that down. Then any loan officers that you know, I want you to write them down. Every single person that can come to mind. Okay. Now, I didn't get to one column yet, right? Which column did I not hit on yet?
Sellers.
Sellers. Okay. So sellers, whole nother animal. But the first thing I'm going to tell you right now that might help you move a listing today, this week, faster. Okay. And this is a huge, huge aha because it's going to open your eyes to there's a whole population that you're not hitting. When you just put it on the MLS for sale, all you're hitting is qualified buyers. What about all the unqualified buyers? Well, they want a contract for deed or they want to rent to own. And you're thinking, well, yeah, but my seller doesn't want to do that. They need to get paid now and move on. Well, what if you could still list it available contract for deed and then someone else in the middle would step in, pay them off so they can move on with their life, get all their money, pay off their mortgage, and then that middle person deals with the buyer you found and then you still get paid. We can do that. So every single listing you have, you should be marking down available financing contract for deed. Again, your seller isn't going to do it with them. We are. So Home Solutions Group will step in the middle. We will buy the property from your seller. We will then work with the buyer that came to you because of the fact you threw that bait in the water, and only because of that, probably, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have come to you. And then now you moved it and you got a buyer out of it. And what if they don't want that house? What if they're like, oh, you know what? We thought we loved the house and we went saw, but it's too small. Do you have anything else available for contract for deed? We're like, oh, shoot. Jesse just told us to list this available for contract for deed. No, help them go find something else. And now you're their agent. And then we will come in and help them get that house if they qualify. So now you just got more possible applicants and leads, right? For more deals, or you maybe move your listing. Okay.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah. I've done a lot of chatting. I want you guys to jump in.
What kind of loan is this, like a commercial loan or conventional that you're using?
So
like
we are, yeah, we're using, kind of all of the above. So we're using commercial financing, we're using some conventional financing, and we're using cash. So all of the above, kind of depends. We do contract for deed and we do lease to own. Okay. And I can go as high level or way down in the weeds as you want to go on that, if you want to dig into that. But typically when we're doing contract for deeds, we're doing commercial financing. We have a bunch of commercial partners that understand what we're doing. They're cool with it. There's no due on sale clause.
Yeah.
That, we've already done many with them. If we're going to do conventional financing, then we're usually doing like a lease to own type of arrangement. Yep.
And I'm assuming that once that contract for deed comes due, you're using whatever the timeline that they needed to get through their situation, self-employed, bankruptcy, foreclosure, things of that nature, to then refinance them into a more permanent,
Exactly.
more traditional lending.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And then from a comparative side, what is the fee to the buyer for the commercial loan? Is it usually a 1% origination, or does it vary based on interest rate like a normal mortgage would, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So it's kind of a convoluted gray answer, and slightly on purpose, but also because it kind of follows the lending world, right? So perfect thing, right? So Nikki, let me answer your question with a question, okay?
Okay.
Someone comes to you with an 850 credit score, W-2,
Yep.
right? What else can we say? Owner occupied,
Okay.
right? Okay. Are they going to get the same interest rate as somebody comes to you with a 583?
No, absolutely not.
583, they just got in. They just snuck in the door, right? 3.5%
I get
down.
it. It's all risk. Yeah.
Full gift, right? So it's all about the layers of risk. Yeah. So for us, we look at it as like a teeter-totter. Okay. So for us, we want to see money down. And it's about the story. Score to us, we have no minimum credit score. No minimum score. It's about the story. So if again, like this guy's a great example. The guy we just helped get this $800,000 house, Eden Prairie, makes 25K a month, right? His bad credit is in the 600s still because it plummeted from, 7s or 8s. Okay. Okay. We see that. And then we see, all the money's coming from a gift. They can't save a dime themselves, right? They have, 5 jobs that are all part-time and some are cash, right? You were late on your truck loan a month ago, but you're blaming it on your divorce from 7 years ago. That has nothing to do with your truck being late a month ago, right? So for us, it's all about digging into the story, the reason, and the timeline. Some people need 12 months and then they're good to go, right? Some people need 3 years and they're good to go, right? So for us, what we do is we have a percentage that we add on top, a premium of the home, and then the interest rate is a little higher as well. So typically the rates, and right now, we're anywhere from 1% to 2% above market. So very fair, very competitive. I don't think we've even done anything in the 9s yet. So we're probably typically in the 7s and 8s right now. We might be in the 9s. I don't think we'll hit above 10. But again, I mean, hard money lenders are 12, 14% and higher. Okay. So the nice thing is, are they paying more than they would with the bank? Absolutely. Because the bank is saying, no, sorry, bye-bye, come back and see us later, right? We're going to still help them get not only a house, but the house they want. Okay. The other thing is, the premium that we add on top. So again, kind of depends. If you only need a year and you're putting down 20%, we're going to give you the skinniest deal we can, right? Because you earned it. On the flip side, if you're coming in with our bare minimum, which is 10% down, that's our minimum, and you need 3 years, well, do you think the house is worth more in 3 years or in 1 year? Probably in 3 years, right? Obviously, theoretically and historically, things go up and appreciate. Now, we can't guarantee that, right? Never say that, but in 3 years, it should be worth more than it will be in a year. So we're anywhere from maybe a 4 to a 6% hike per year. Okay. So it all depends, but it all kind of depends on the situation. But the cool thing is they get to get the house they want now. As an agent, you get paid 100% commission on a deal you would have made 0, right? You get to look like the freaking hero, and they're going to love you just for that fact alone, right? As a lender, you're like, hey, I can't get you the mortgage, but I can still help you get the house. Okay. And you can come back and we'll get you a better interest rate as soon as you qualify. And
what happens from a marketing side on your standpoint, if I were to send a client your way and say, hey, I can't help them, they've got this bankruptcy, it's I need a year and a half more. How does that come back to me as a loan officer? Because obviously I'm going to do what I can on my side to be, keep track with them and say, hey, how's the credit going? Are you keeping up? That type of thing. Does that come back to us and then you guys don't market that final solution to them, or how does that work? Yeah.
Great question. So we do it really together. Okay. So number one, any lead that comes to us from anyone, right? That is our lifeline. Okay. Is our relationships. So we want to not only help your client one time, we want you thinking of us every single time this happens. Okay. And we have some agents that are very good and some lenders that are very good because they're proactive, right? If anything, when you're reactive, think of us, right? Let's help this couple, this person get what they want. Look like the hero, right? Maybe get paid, right? Obviously, as a lender, you can't get paid right now. We're still kind of exploring some different ways to do some joint marketing with marketing and leads and stuff like that right now, Nikki, just so you know. So we can, right? An agent, of course, we can pay because of that. But we want people who are really proactive, who are out looking for this. Okay. So, you find 3 to 4 extra people in a year that fit any of these situations. And we only touched on like 3 of the big ones, right? There's still a lot more things that are the gotchas, I call it, right? And you do an average commission of 10, 12K, that adds up to be a pretty good chunk of money, right? From just being proactive, searching this out. But so we want the loan to go back to the lender that referred it to us all day, every day. It's your loan, okay? And so the cool thing is you're still helping them get, I'm getting a call right now from, anybody know Ben Daniels? Ben Daniels, good lender, known him for a long time. Calling right now, not set up, that's not staged. I don't talk to him every day or every week, so I guarantee he's calling with a situation, okay?
Yeah.
So, we wanted to go back to you, and then we work on it together. So we know up front, like, okay, here's the issues, here's the timeline, here's what has to get fixed. We stay in communication with them. We even have some online courses and education. We're holding their hand, but we're not checking in with them every month. But they have a roadmap of what they need to do to get there. And then we want our lenders to do the same thing because it's your client, right? Yep. Now, I've had some lenders who are crazy. You know how it is. There's some are good, some are bad, right? Just like agents. And some are like, they sent us 3 or 4 people in 1 year and they never followed up with them, ever. It's like, that's money. Like, I get it. Like,
Can I get those people?
Right? I'm like, I know it's not today money, but
no problem.
I know. It's like, do you think you need to like pay your mortgage and eat next year?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
Maybe.
Because we have a lot of people who have $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 sitting in their future pipeline that you almost forget about. You're like, oh my God, the Andersons. Holy crap. The Andersons have to pay off by September this year. And do you think they're a little motivated when they put down $40,000 that is non-refundable and they're going to lose the house? Right now, that's the bad, scary side of it. And we can get into that. We don't operate that way, but there is a timeline. There's a deadline. Okay. This isn't just, we're not a 30-year solution. We are a bridge to home ownership. We're a 1 to 3-year solution. Okay.
So it has to be a minimum of a year.
We like it to be a minimum year. It doesn't have to be.
So like, for example, I have a client who could go off of 1-year tax returns, self-employed tax returns. However, they're 27 days short of making a full year on the tax return.
Oh, I guess.
You know what rule I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Their business officially took over on 1/27/2022, and it was previously family owned. So we could do the loan if they had showed a full 12 months on their tax returns. 27 days short. Once she files her 2023s, we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But she hasn't filed those yet. She wants to purchase. She has a home in mind and she wants to purchase today. So technically speaking, it could be from September 1st all the way to April when she files her next year's tax returns.
Jackpot. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is there a minimum? Because I'm going to refinance her as soon as she files those tax returns.
Yeah. No, there really isn't. Now, here's the thing. It's sometimes people almost self-select themselves out of our situation. There's a minimum that we have to charge because it's just the same amount of work. It's the same amount of steps. Maybe the risk is a little bit lighter because it's shorter, right? But we look and say, well, we have all these other folks to help in these opportunities, right? We can't just, we're not coming in and doing this for a couple $1,000, right?
Right.
And it's just percentages. So they may say, hey, you know what? It's just not worth it to us. We're going to sit and wait because we don't want to pay this extra amount because it's only that amount of time. And that's fine. We respect that. We totally get that. At the same point, again, we're going to look at all the factors and the teeter-totter, right? How much money down, their story, their situation, everything. And then we'll give them a much better deal if they earn that, right?
Right.
And it's faster. So
well, and she has the benefit of having a crap ton of cash.
Okay.
So
sounds like a deal that I don't see why we wouldn't put together unless she's just crazy bent on like, this is the price I'm getting. This is the thing. You do have to steer them around the fact, like, I know you thought you were getting this, you know, $5 cup of coffee at Starbucks for $5. Now it's going to be $7. Sorry. It's more, right? But you get it. And then you get it.
Well, it's all about strategy.
All about strategy. Absolutely. Yeah. What's that name? What's the name on your person, if you can say? Just a person.
Her name is Jennifer.
Jennifer. Okay. Let's talk about Jennifer after this.
Okay.
100%.
Lisa, did you have something to say?
Yes. So Jesse, if you have those quote unquote unqualified buyers for the typical lending, if they haven't identified a property yet, but they want to know that they have a solution, do you provide like a pre-qualification, a pre-approval letter, or how does that work?
Yes, great question, Lisa. We give them the pre-pre.
They
get the pre-approval. Yeah.
The
PP. Yep. We give them the PP.
I love it.
Blooper reel. That's on the blooper reel here. Now we give them the pre-approval and they get that. And so, yeah, exactly. And good question to maybe make a quick little segue. So as far as getting this going, like I want you to identify the problems and the opportunities because it's the same thing. It's that list. Okay. And in a sec, I want Nikki to rattle off any other turn down she's had, any other situations, because we're going to go put that down, right? Because again, I want to make you $1,000 on this call. Like one way or another, we're making you $1,000. Okay. So we're going to rattle that off, but good kind of quick transition is getting ready. So we're like a bank. We still want to be prepared and ready to go. I can't tell you how many times, of course, that's on a weekend, right? Or you're out doing something and it's like, hey, oh my God, my clients want this house. Can you put an offer in tomorrow? And it's like, no, we can't. And then, they expect that we'll make an answer in 48 hours. I'm like, well, the bank took you 2.5 weeks to give you a yes or no. And, you want 48 hours from us. So timing is important. Now, the cool thing is on the flip side of that, we can move fast. We can move super fast. Okay. What we want to review is the same thing a lender wants to review. I want to see their last 2 years taxes, last 2 years W-2s, 30 days of pay stubs, 2 months bank statements, and credit report. Okay. Now, again, usually I put a column down for your lenders, put down a column for lenders because that should have been, we got to do 4 columns. I think we need to do 4 instead of 3. But put down lenders.
Too late. It's not going to fit.
It's too late. The bottom. That's just the whole bottom half, right? So with your lenders, want to see, like, hey, Nikki, would Jennifer be okay with you sharing that with us, right? She's going to have to give you permission, of course, right?
Yeah,
to share that, but then way easier, right? Just say, hey, Jennifer, can we make this super easy for you? Can I just get HSG, all the stuff that they need? Yeah. Okay, great. Cool. Then you get it to us. We run it through our system. We use a couple of in-house lenders that we've used for a very long time. They're not trying to take anyone's loan or mortgage, but they are part of our review process. Okay. And so we're going through and saying, okay, well, if it wasn't for that and that, oh, that's good. Oh, not that, right? What needs to change? What needs to happen? We're checking DTI, ability to repay. I will tell you this, there's not a lot of people that do what we do, right? We're pretty unique and specialized in this, but we're of course not the only ones that do this stuff. I know of other people that I can't believe, I hear it all the time. Like they just don't ask for anything. And they're just like, oh, cool. You got this much money down. We'll see you at closing. Sounds nice and easy, but I don't think that's going to, I don't want to be in court if I was them. Okay. Because that's not how it's done.
Plus it doesn't provide a long-term solution for the client. It does not provide a long-term
solution. Yeah. And again, like I said at the beginning, anybody can take a couple people, throw it together and see if it works out. Okay. We've been doing this. I've been doing this since 2011. Started this myself, and then we have a team. But A rating with the Better Business Bureau, and I normally think the BBB is kind of cheesy, but I think with this, I like to share that because if I was taking people's money, taking people's houses, right? Maybe I would do really good for a year, and then you're found out, right? So over a decade of doing it this way, we do it the right way. So we really put a lot of emphasis up front on making sure they can afford it, both now and in the future. Making sure it's going to go back to the lender like Nikki and she can get it done, making sure that there's a reasonable, thing that has to change, right? For example, I'll give you an example. And this happens a few times a year, at least. We get someone with a huge chunk of money and they want a really nice house. Okay, great. You got her 10% down. You got 20% down. You got 30% down and you have stable income. Awesome. And you got the house picked out. Great. Let's go. Let's write this up. Ooh, but they make $1,800 a month, Social Security and disability, and they want a $700,000 house. They have $100,000 down. right? So you're meeting all the boxes, but will you afford a $700,000 house with a $600,000 loan on $1,900 a month? Absolutely not. So can we get you there? Yes. And will we get paid? Yes. And will you get paid? Yes. And are they happy for a year or two? And then that balloon comes and then they go, oh shit, I can't qualify for this. And then they lose the house.
Mhm.
And then now they're coming back to you and they're coming back to me. And now nothing's good. So we do all of that up front. We want to make sure that the only way this doesn't work is if it's on them, honestly, right? We can't go to work for them. We can't be their wallet and, you know, be like, don't buy that, right? But we can coach them and educate them. And again, especially if we have a great lender who jumps in and says, hey, you should be able to qualify. And at least, like you said, exactly, Nikki, right? This month to this month, this is the window, let's roll. But you got to do all these things in the middle to make sure we're doing it, okay? And, you know, if your job is the same or your income is same or higher, great. Your debts are here or lower, great. You go buy a boat loan, that's on you. And we told you not to, but you did that, right? Now, so that's the thing, is we want to make sure we're really providing them with everything we can for tools and education and help and support. So you get that refi in a year or two and go, sweet, I totally forgot about this. Oh my God, right? I mean, you didn't completely forget, but you kind of forgot, right? You forgot you have a mortgage coming due and you're going to get paid again on something that you just solved the problem 2 years ago, which is really cool. So we want to get all that stuff up front. We want to review it. And then Lisa, yes, we'll give them the pre to say yes. And we do a little bit of our first kind of conversation. We really love a warm handoff. Okay. So a warm handoff, either a group text or a group email. And we love to do a Zoom. We found out for many reasons that's good to do, right? It's body language, right? Which is a majority of communication, even though it's not face-to-face. And we're face-to-face, we're great with that too. Our office is in Edina. We're happy to meet there anytime face-to-face, but we'd rather do a Zoom than a phone call. And you can be there or you don't have to be there. We have some agents who are like, I want to be a part of every single conversation and feel like they're not, you know, out of the picture. And we have others who's like, here's the Johnsons, give them a call, let me know when they close and send me my check. Okay. Right? I mean, either one. Now, if you're the agent, okay, or for someone else on the team, right? Because you're going to explain this to the team and whoever else you work with. If it's your client, you go do the door opening. So you're doing the showings. You're their agent that way. So you are their agent. You're representing them. We are representing us or our investors when we come in and purchase the property. Okay. We write the offers on the house. So that's a big difference. So honestly, a little bit less work. You're not writing the offers. We're writing the offers. So you just say, hey guys, all right, so we took Steve and Samantha out and we looked at houses this weekend. They really like this one. And if that doesn't work out, they want this one. Cool. Then what we do is we come in and we kind of do a little math session with them. Again, everyone's different, right? We're not like a bank at all on purpose. It's not like you get an 8%, you get a 7%, you get a 9%, where everything's unique and customized. So we'll come in and say, okay, guys, your price on this house is going to be X and your monthly payment's going to be Y. Sound good? And 9 times out of 10, it's, yep, sounds great. That 1 time out of 10, you know, it's champagne tasting of your budget. Hard to fix that, right? That's kind of on you guys sending your people over, right? Like the bank is saying, no way. And multiple banks are saying, no way, can't be picky and choosy, and you're not going to get the 6% you thought you were going to get with them, with us, right? But it's not 11, 12, 13%. You know, like I said, we're 1 to 2 typically above market. So it's a very skinny margin. So yeah, we're not trying to get rich off of anybody, but, you know, it has to make some sense. And it has to, you know, cash flow a little bit for us. And then that future price, this is really important. This is how I like to say this, okay? Home Solutions Group buys the property for you today at today's price. You're agreeing to buy it back in the future at tomorrow's price. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's very true. Think of it this way. You're driving by 123 Main Street. You love it. It's gorgeous, but you can't get it. You can't. And so now you're going to go move into this apartment, but you really want that house. 2 years down the road, all of a sudden, now you can thumbs up. Nikki's saying, you're good to go now. You're out of the jail, right? You're out of jail. Buy whatever you want. Now you go back to 123 Main Street and it's for sale. Well, what would it be selling for? That's what you're going to pay because you couldn't have got it 2 years ago, right? So that's your price. You're just agreeing to buy that up front right now. We're saying this is what your price is regardless of the market. Now, hopefully it's higher. And we've had a ton of cases, where their price, the future price that we agreed to, you know, in 2020, now they're buying in 2022, they have 10, 15, 20, 30,000 equity, which is fantastic, right? We love that. So we don't come back and be like, oh, hold on, guys, market's been good. Our price went up, right? We don't do that. The price is fixed. So it's a very transparent process, okay? They know exactly what their price is, no matter what's going on. They know exactly what their payment is, no matter what's going on. We don't go up and increase it every single year like other programs out there, right? Not naming names, just, you know, every year it goes up and up and up. We don't take that price and go up every single year, right? It's here's your price, here's your payment, okay? On contract for deed, 12 months and a day, it's a rate and term refi, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So if it goes up 50 grand, that's all your equity. Boom. Fantastic. If it's a lease option, no matter what the value is, for most banks, I have some weird ones that will look at it like a CD, but it's a lease option. Whatever your purchase price is, that's your purchase price. Okay. Now, the number one question, right? I'm waiting for it. So I'll let you say it because it's there. What's the number one question? What's the, who's got it?
What if they can't qualify at the time that the contract for deed expires?
Yep. That's tied. And then maybe one other add-on to that would be what? What if it's not worth it, right?
Yeah, what if it's not worth that money? Yeah.
What if it's not? What if they agreed to buy it at 550 and we bought it today at 5? They're buying it at 550 and it's not worth 550. Okay. And I love that we have a lender on the call. This is great. This is always fun. So, Nikki, what's the minimum somebody needs to buy a house with a mortgage?
Or
minimum down payment. Yep.
3%.
Or equity position, right?
3%. Yeah. To refinance. Yeah. 3%.
3. And that's conventional or FHA?
Conventional.
Yep. Okay. Well, what about VA?
0.
USDA, 0.
0.
Minnesota housing, 0.
0.
So best case, you got 0. Most common, you're right. Most common is 3. Worst case is 5. Okay. Mm-hmm. So our people are putting down 10% down minimum, oftentimes 12 or 15 or 18 or 20. Okay. So if they put down 15% and they only need 3, what happens if the market doesn't move a freaking dollar in 3 years? Still fine.
Fine. Mm-hmm.
They're fine. Okay. It's important to get that, right? It doesn't have to go up. Okay. It could stay flat. It could go down, frankly. Now, if they put down 10 and the market goes down 12, okay, we're in a bad spot. Okay. Now, here's the other cool thing.
I'll take that risk all day long.
Right. Well, here's the thing. If your buyers are making their payments on time every month, they're taking care of the property, we don't have to get paid off in 3 years. We can extend. We're happy to extend. Okay. We don't want their money. We don't want the house back. We're not those guys. Okay. Sadly, there's people out there like that. For some people, that's what they do, which is horrible. Okay. My mission kind of doing this, over a decade ago was like, I want to have creative financing and rent to own and contract for deed be in a good light. It's just a financing tool. Mm-hmm. And the other funny thing is, and we can maybe transition this if you guys want, but it's a way to buy, and it's a way to buy even when we don't need to. Right? I got probably half of my Airbnbs I bought on lease option or contract for deed. You'd be like, well, Jesse, can't you go to the bank and get a loan? I totally can. Why would I? I just got a 5.5% with $30,000 down. The bank was going to give me 8.5% with, it would have been $55,000 down. So I just bought an Airbnb for 30 grand at a 5.5% rate. No bank can touch that. And I closed in 14 days. No cost.
Are you licensed everywhere? Or can you do loans everywhere? Not for real estate necessarily, but for the lending side.
So I'm actually not doing loans anymore. I'm not licensed anymore.
Okay.
I let that go. Yep. But we have needs everywhere, and we obviously have a big network, but we're always wanting to work with really good LOs that can do other places. Yeah. Totally.
So I was just thinking, because we do a lot of business in Arizona as well. That's like our second largest market for loans that we do. And so a lot of the time in Arizona, what we're dealing with is that investor client who only wants to put 15% down. And then they look at the mortgage insurance and they look at the points that they're paying and they're like, why would I ever do this? I'm like, yeah, why would ya? So we really try to target investors who are willing to put 25% down to really help ease that cash flow situation. But this might be a good way for them to finance in between And then like, for
Absolutely.
example, personally, we do like when we look for owner financing for our investment properties,
Yep.
wrap financing, like that type of thing. And so it'd be interesting to, have a more one-on-one conversation about solutions for that particular group that we help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just put in the chat here, our website. If you guys could pop that open for a sec, I actually want to show you something. I can even screen share too. How are we doing on time, by the way?
Well, we're 14 minutes over at this point, but this is good information. If anyone needs to jump off, they certainly can, but this is all good.
Good. I
You
want
do
to show
have
you.
screen share option as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. Let me show you. So this is our site. Okay. We just kind of revamped a bunch of stuff, and I want to show it off for a couple reasons. Normally I say, yeah, whatever, it's a website, but we have 3 different programs. So we have our Home Bridge program, which is basically anything on contract for deed. Our Home Flex program, which could be contract for deed or it's rent to own. Okay. And we have our Home Vest program. And our Home Vest is exactly what you're talking about, Nikki. So this is for investors who are like, hey, I don't have 25% down, but I maybe have like 15% or like, between 10 and 15. And again, instead of getting nothing and coming back in 2 years, right, at, maybe a 12% increase in appreciation, I still could have got it today. And maybe I don't make as much cash flow, but I still am cash flowing, or at least I got my foot in the door and I got the property. I literally have a couple guys right now that are buying a 4-plex through us this way. We helped a guy get a 14-unit apartment building this way. I helped a guy buy a place in Wisconsin Dells a few months ago this way. So the other very unique thing about us is we don't just help people get an owner-occupied property. We also help investors as well. We help agents. One of my agents that's on my team started out, I think he was, in a group of like 50 people at Realty Group that I was talking to 3-4 years ago, and said, hey, after I was done talking, right, he's like, do you work with agents? It was like a secret thing, right? Like, yeah, of course, man. Like, if you fit the bucket, yeah, and of course you do, right? Self-employed, haven't been. He was an agent for like a year, right? Had a great first year. Wasn't an agent for 2 years. He went from renting to a duplex. Bam, got a duplex. So, so people can kind of fill in stuff here. Again, don't put people through hoops, right? If you have a lead, don't make them jump through hoops. Connect them right to us. And I would say the best thing actually would be our email is buyers@hsg.homes, BUYERS, buyers@hsg.homes, or email. So Jesse@hsg.homes. Okay. Now I may have you work with, our buyer specialist, and they'll kind of do that part of it. Okay. But, super important. The other thing is FAQs. We took a lot of time going through a lot of FAQs. We have FAQs for realtors and loan officers. So this is just us, internal, us in the business right here. How does it work? Boom. And you want to watch a video? We got videos on it. We got videos on everything. Okay. So a lot of FAQs, loan officer FAQs, agent FAQs. But then just for your buyers, they would go here. Ton of stuff. So almost any question you have after this, guys, is probably going to be in here as well. I'm not saying I don't want to talk to you, because I'd love to talk with you, but there might be a lot of stuff in here too. Okay. So yeah, so anyone that you cannot get done, period, we want to help, and there's no reason to wait. And I want you, again, being proactive instead of reactive. Now, real quick, and I'm going to let you guys just bombard me with questions here, because I know we're going long. The $1,000, if you have an investor who wants to have cash flowing real estate, doesn't want to deal with a bunch of headaches and hassles, right? Can get pre-approved, does have 20% down. So theoretically, Nick, if you just dropped in front of a landlord, here's 50 properties, which one do you want? And they could go get any one of those. We want those people all day, every day. Because as we grow, our volume grows, our need to be able to do more grows, and we honestly want to help people. A lot of people say, well, why don't you guys just do all these yourself? Well, I mean, at a certain point we can't, but number 2, we really love to help people get financial freedom, get into investing. Okay. Mm-hmm. So any investors you have, if they do a deal, you will get $1,000, and all you have to do is give them my name and number. That's it. I mean, literally nothing. Email them, text them, you're done. You do nothing else. If they do a deal with us, you'll get $1,000. And I'll tell you in this right now, because we wanna kick the fall up. Every deal they do after that for the next 3, I'll do $500 per deal. After that, so it's from a text. That dollar per hour is pretty good, right? Name, talk. Hey, you guys talk. Done. That's it. Okay, we'll take care of the rest. If you have buyers, especially agents, if you have buyers, you're going to get in 100% of the commission. And what we're going to be probably launching in September, but I'll leak it out now. And for us right now, we're going to be doing a $2,000 bonus on top of that. So not only you would have made nothing, you're not going to get all your commission and then $2,000 on top of it. We're going to start that in September, but if you guys have anybody between now and then, I'll honor that. Okay. And then your listings, again, make sure you put any of your listings available for contract for financing, and then you just talk to us. 10% down minimum. You don't have to worry about doing any of the negotiations or talking with them. I don't want you to. Just say, hey, we work with Home Solutions Group. They would come in and buy it from us and then work with you and then talk with them, and then that's it. And we're done. So, yeah, I kind of think that hits on that too. Yeah.
So if I have a listing
Mhm.
and we're in a situation where we want to open it up for contract for deed, like it's been sitting, we want to open that up. Do you also have people maybe that are waiting for a contract for deed property to pop up? Or are we only marketing? I mean, obviously when I did this on my last one, we updated it on the MLS, and then I marketed it on social media and whatnot as well. But do you also have a buyer or a pool of those type of buyers?
We do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So we have people kind of looking, hunting as well. That, I mean, we might have the person that's waiting for it right there, ready to go, or at least it gets it out onto the market. Now you're not hitting, 70% of the market, you're hitting 100% of the market. Well, 90. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yep. Good question. Good question. What other questions do you guys have?
So when you have, just from a realtor standpoint, because I'm just curious, because I'm not a realtor, but so from that standpoint, do you ever get hear about pushback that happens? Like, for example, if Chrissy has a buyer that comes in and says, oh, by the way, we're contract for deed financing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or how does that affect from a seller standpoint, giving you an edge in the market above? You know what I mean? Like, do you have issues with, hey, how FHA financing isn't looked as great as conventional? And, if it comes in and the offer comes in as contract for deed financing and the listing agent goes, whoa, wait a second. And the sellers go, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
This is some voodoo stuff that's happening. Like, do you get pushback from that?
We did maybe in a couple of cases years ago, and then we learned to just say it better, frankly, and present it better. So when we come in to buy it, all they know is we're a buyer, and we're buying the property and the financing. They don't know
that what you're doing with it after the fact. It's really
sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Especially let's say Chrissy, you're talking with the listing agent, right? Because again, we want you showing the properties, opening doors, right? Showing your buyers. And you talk with the listing agent, say, hey, do you have any offers on this? No, we don't. Maybe one coming tomorrow, right? Everyone has one coming tomorrow. Nothing right now, right?
But how true is that?
Exactly. So we want you to do a lot of the recon, right? Because it's your buyer and you're getting, the full commission on it. But then we're going to step in, or actually you could kind of say, hey, by the way, we're working with Home Solutions Group. And they're actually going to be offering on this, but it's my client, okay? And so I kind of flip the script and almost make it as a good thing. So I'm like, hey, guess what? Steve, your listing, your clients actually get to help somebody get a home that normally wouldn't be able to get a home. We're stepping in with, cash or very, very well qualified financing with somebody who can go buy 30 houses, and we're going to buy it. And then we're going to work with that person, but your seller gets to get paid off and move on. But guess what? They get to feel really good about the fact they're helping somebody get this place versus just a normal buyer. And we're going to use, maybe commercial financing or cash, or conventional financing with, 20% down. And so for us, it's a better offer than FHA. It's a better offer than just 5% conventional, right? And so, yeah, our offer is typically a stronger offer, even without that whole extra hair on the deal. So
Can I add to that with a question? So
yeah.
So then do you dictate the terms of that offer since you're writing the offer? Like, what about when it comes to, inspection and all of that? What's your norm on that part of it?
Good question. No, we're not dictating. We come in and basically say, where should we start?
Okay.
It is a higher lower game together. We're very collaborative, right?
Okay.
So we get a better deal, your client's going to get a better deal.
Mhm.
We pay more, your client's going to pay more. And so sometimes there is some back and forth, right? So we're saying, hey, we're coming at list. We're going to try to get seller paid closing costs included. We typically always want to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we have to go above list to get that, then we do. If we can get that at list, great. If we come in below list and get that, fantastic, right? But here's our starting point that we feel, and where do your clients want to offer? Jesus, last summer, we had a lot above asking.
Yeah.
A lot above asking. And of course, we're above asking. So their price is above that.
Right.
So they got to feel really comfortable with it. We like to do an inspection. Most of the time, we strongly suggest getting an inspection, but I'd be lying if I said we didn't do any that didn't have an inspection before. And that's on your buyers, right? We are buying it and selling it as is. Right. So we're not coming in, fixing up anything, taking ownership of problems. We owned it for a hot minute and now it's theirs. So if they're cool with those potential issues, they're going to tell us that in writing, and there's no inspection with us, and then there's no inspection with them. But again, I don't really recommend that, but we've done that a few times.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's very collaborative with where they want to come in at. If we want to try to go on, get a really good deal, we certainly can. We don't do a ton of lowball stuff, right? Because we don't like to just write offers for fun. We like to get houses. But we can definitely discuss that.
So the potential buyer would go through an approval process with you.
Yep.
And I would, because I have somebody in mind now that we've been talking through this.
Awesome.
And you would, I'm assuming, be able to then tell me, okay, based on a payment that they're going to be able to afford, this is the price point that you could be looking at. So we're not wasting people's time here.
Totally. Yes.
Because obviously, because the price that they're actually going to purchase down the road is going to be higher than what we're looking at. So all of those things are taken into consideration up front.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yep. So it's a lot of math up front. And again, just making sure we're on the same page. And, most of the time we are, but every once in a while there's somebody who's like, just can't wrap their head around the fact that it's going to be more in the future, or the pricing just doesn't make sense, And again, that's a little bit, on our agents and our partners, right, and our lenders to say, hey, what you thought you could get is X, and it's not going to be better than that. It's going to be a little higher than that, but not a lot. But and it's temporary. This is just a 1-year thing, a 2-year thing. We don't have a prepayment penalty. So if we're doing a rent to own, we usually want to do at least a year, just because we get long-term capital gains. So it's better for us that way. Or God forbid, we did a loan saying Nikki gave us a mortgage for one of our investors, and then all of a sudden we paid you off in 6 months. And now you got hit back and you got to pay your commission back, right? So we like to do usually a year if possible, but again, we don't have to. So we're very customizable. It's not hard and fast rules.
Okay.
Yep. Cool.
My last question? Sorry.
No.
Is I'm
blocked out until 12:30, so I gave you guys a bunch of time if you have extra. So
my last question is, what does happen? I mean, if it's, say, the 2-year is up and they're still in a position where they can't buy, do you ever extend that for 12 months, or is it done and they're out of the house? And I mean, what happens in those situations?
We get a U-Haul there. We help them move the couch, but they're going in the truck, right? And that's it. No, I would say most of the time, usually it's not a surprise if we're getting that close anyways, right? Like there's the finish line, but you guys aren't even close, right? So we know it's coming. We'll typically extend with the huge caveat that it's a legal binding agreement and we have zero, requirement to do that. It's on goodwill and good faith that we would do that. Now, might the payment go up per month? Yeah, might, because now the deal's done, right? Again, this isn't like a Home Partners or a Divvy where it's changing every year. Like this was our deal. and now the deal changed, right?
Right.
So
Well,
the
and you
payment
can
might go up, the
also-
price might go up. Yeah.
You can also foreclose on a contract for deed. I don't know if you know that, Chrissy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and
sure.
it can be foreclosed upon.
Yeah. Well, it's a cancellation technically,
Yeah.
right? So it's 60 days. It's not even a
Right.
full foreclosure process. So it's 60 days.
Correct.
They have 60 days to cure it, right? And if they don't cure it in 60 days, they're out.
Yep. And then it works like from a alternate lending as they come back into, let's say they want to buy a future house, it acts exactly like a foreclosure would. Because when they purchase that, or when they sign that contract for deed, they're actually purchasing that home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually in their name, like it is their home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yep. Yeah. They have
Timeline
equitable
starts-
title, or the seller has legal title. So they kind of
Yep.
both have title. But yeah, they bought it, and they're
Yep.
100% responsible for all the maintenance, all the repairs. They're paying taxes and insurance on the property.
Yep.
Now they may pay that escrowed every month to the seller. Okay.
Mhm.
But they're still paying it, and they're 100% responsible. So some people like the rent to own style because we would do the big ticket stuff. So like the furnace and, AC and, the big expensive stuff, we would still take care of that, but they're doing all the little kind of miscellaneous piddly stuff. Anything usually under $1,500 per month, they're going to be responsible for. So if it's like, hey, the dryer stopped working, okay, fix it, or go get a new one. That's you. This is your house, right? The furnace completely went to heck. We have to get a brand new furnace on a rent to own. They're usually not going to be covering that. Okay, so there's some pros and cons to doing each one. For us, they're very much the same. Okay, a lot of people think, and again, just kind of a misconception, but a lot of people think with my printer's printing, I don't know what is printing or why. It's just zipping off stuff right now.
It's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a fax, guys. Hold on.
call.
I'm getting a new lead. Right, but a lot of people think, hey, with rent to own, isn't it cheaper than rent?
Mm-mm.
Not with us, because again, here's a big thing, and there's a whole other area we could go on, but properties you already have is different. Okay, if I have a rental property and I'm going to sell it at a rent to own, am I going to take a lower monthly payment? Probably. Am I going to take maybe 10 grand down instead of 30 grand down? Probably, because I already own that property, right? And I'd rather have a rent to own buyer all day long than a renter. I don't deal with renters anymore. I have rent to own, I have contract for deed, and I have short-term rentals. But my days of ever just being a regular landlord with a regular tenants, unless it's like an apartment building, which then I'll have a management company, I don't want to do it, right? But I already own it. We're going and buying something. So it's like, I'm literally only buying this cup of coffee because you want it and you plan on buying it from me in the future. And therefore, yeah, that's why we have, minimum 10% down. And that's why rates are, higher a little bit. And there's a premium on it. So,
Okay.
Chrissy, you said you're doing one right now. What questions do you have on the one you're doing that I can answer for you?
I'm wishing I would have had this conversation before we got to this point with where I'm at.
Okay.
I wish you would have too.
Oh, shoot.
I mean, the reality is that this was offered up as a solution because we were in a situation where we had to get it sold. And, excuse me, it was just a 2021 purchase. So there wasn't a ton of equity there. We couldn't move a lot with the price, and they're buying another property. And like, there's 3 transactions tied together with this one,
Yeah.
So I feel like all these recommendations I made to my seller, I feel like he was in this mode of just wanting to get something done. So he really wasn't doing the things that I suggested he do to make sure he was making the best decision. But at the end of the day, I can't make his decisions for him. I'm hoping for the best. I think we've got a good person coming in, but at the end of the day, I can only tell him what I think he should do and make the suggestions. I can't do them for him. So
I wish we had talked before too.
Yeah.
So what do you feel right now is like the fork in the road that you're kind of at with decisions that need to be made at this point, or is it already too late on some of that?
I think most of it, I think it's too late. I mean, we've got some changes that are going out. We do have the title company's attorney is reviewing everything, and we're going back and forth with changes and whatnot. So, I feel like it's going to be okay. but there's just a lot of there's a lot about this that I've been trying to learn on my own, right? You know, until you need to do it, you just, so I mean, this is all really, really good information for me. And as we're sitting here talking, I mean, I have a couple of potential clients that this could work really well for.
Awesome.
One, you know, one that is a self-employed, the other is self-employed, but also they are from Mexico, and they have been here, they've lived here forever. Their kids were born here, and for some reason he's still waiting on his card, his documentation, something. Yep. And I think it's like 2 years that it could take. So I know they're like a year out at this point.
Does he have his ITIN or not even his ITIN?
I'm not 100% sure. I know they both have W-2 jobs, and they both also have businesses.
Okay.
So I'm not sure.
We see a lot of that.
Yeah. So I think that could be a good contact.
Yep.
Because I've honestly been talking to them for 5 years. 5 years.
5 years?
And they are hardworking people, and they are deserving of a home. So
what are their names?
Gabriella and Juan.
Gabriella and okay.
So I will have a conversation with her.
Do you said someone else as well, potentially?
Well, the other one is somebody, yeah, I've got to pull up her name. Okay. I had some leads come in, and she's got a weird name. Hang on a second. Okay. She's got a different name. It's not weird.
It's unique.
It's unique.
She has a unique name. Does Gabriella and Juan have 10% down or more then, do you think?
Yeah, I think she could probably do 10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other one's name is Delinia. Delinia.
Delinia. Okay.
So I will connect with both of them today.
Awesome.
But with her, I don't know if the 10% down is probably going to be an issue. I forgot about that.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can look. And now the other thing too is, so with us, right, we're not as picky as a bank as far as where the funds come from. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it can come from different sources that maybe a bank might not be okay with.
Sure.
It's just most important to have that.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, if it's like a loan or something, we do want to take that into consideration with the payment, you know, if there's a payment on it.
Got it.
But we're looking at it, but yes, that we're a little bit more flexible on where it comes from. And every once in a while we can, you know, if it's close, you know, if it's like 8 or 9%, you know, and we can make the rest of the numbers all jive to how it needs to jive, then we could look at that potentially, just so, you know, it's not like hard and fast on the 10%. But the other thing, and I was going to mention this, and then I said something else and forgot it, but you know, we'd like to see as much as they can put down. Mm-hmm. So it's safest for the investor, and ironically, it's safest for them. The people that have walked away or didn't go through with this, which is a small percentage, I think national average successful rent to own and successful contract for deed, national average is something crazy like 30%. Like most don't work, most fail. It's nuts. But I also think, right, there's a lot of reasons for that. You got bad people out there, unscrupulous people who don't know anything about mortgages and guidelines, you know, people just dealing with the seller who gives them a year and they say yes, and they need 3 years, but no one knows they need 3 years. You know what I mean? Right. So there's no plan, there's no coaching. So anyways, yeah, with us, we like to see as much down as possible. And the ones that put more down, make it happen because they're vested.
Exactly.
You know? And we can get them a lower monthly payment, and we can get them a lower purchase price. So what they pay for the house and what they pay per month is going to be lower if they can, you know, come up with a little bit more down. So, you know, just FYI, don't pitch it as only 10%, only 10%. Be like, well, it starts at 10, but you get a better deal with, you know, the more you put down.
Okay. So I mean, obviously most people are off the call at this point, but I did want to ask you a little bit. So you have a coaching program? Mm-hmm. Okay. So can you tell me a little bit of what that entails?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a couple different programs. So I have a private one-on-one coaching that I do with investors, with agents, really kind of gets into, you know, your business, where you're at, You know, especially if we're talking about getting into more investing and passive income and the plan and the strategy. A lot of times it's accountability. A lot of times it's, I've got the situation. What would you do? Right. Or I've been through it, or I've got someone in my network or a mentor that has been through it, or I'm connecting you with the right person. So that's one of the things that I do. And then we have a group program where we teach this to other agents outside of the area, outside of the metro, basically how to do our program. So almost like a franchise.
Got it.
In other areas. Yeah. So ironically, so with folks locally, we're looking really more to kind of, you know, just partner with you on things when it comes up.
Okay.
And help you with those buyers. And again, I really want to see proactive people. I mean, you reached out to me, right? But like, you know, not just when it happens. Oh shoot, we have this one person, they don't qualify. Oh, let's see if we should talk to Jesse. Like, no. Go look for it. Go join a group of, you know, a Facebook group where people are self-employed. You know, talk to your accountant. Who do you know? Talk to your bookkeeper, right? Do you know any divorce attorneys? Reach out to them. Do you know any bankruptcy attorneys? Reach out to them, right? And your lenders. So, you know, if you have so much business that you could get, Chrissy, just from all the different lenders that you know, reaching out to them and any other agents. Because again, most people go, oh, I don't know what to do with this. So you just move on. You forget about it. But like, well, no, I know what to do with this, right? And so they're out there. So a lot of this you can find it, and you know, even just doing some social media ads and stuff like that. You could, you know, share some of our stuff. You know, we could get you some content to get out there. But yeah, just so many people don't know about this, and you know, no one's going to raise their hand and say, "Hey, I've got crappy credit. Can you help me?" Right. But they might hit you up personally, and if they knew that you had options for people with no credit or bad credit, or you know, this and that, then all of a sudden, you know, again, they're not going to publicly say stuff, but they're going to come to you and say, "Hey, tell me more about this." And
well, it's interesting because as soon as we updated that listing and added the contract for deed option, and then and I did send out a email to the database. I mean, it was only the EXP agents, and then I marketed on Facebook as well. I did get a handful of people emailed me. Those were mostly investors that were interested in the contract for deed, adding to their portfolio. And then the buyer, I mean, then I ended up finding a couple people just through my Facebook marketing. So I think they're definitely out there. But I just didn't understand how I could best help them. Like, I was like, okay, well, now I've got these people that would be interested in a contract for deed, but where do I find those listings? Like, where do I find those sellers that can help these buyers? But no, this is the tool.
Yeah. And I mean, and here's the thing. Are there sellers out there doing it? Absolutely. But you got to look for them. You got to find them. It's tougher. And, you know, a lot of it, and this is a lot of what I do coaching on too, honestly, is it's the magic words, right?
Right.
You know how it is. I mean, you could say even the same sentence, heck, how you say something, right? How you say it could be a game changer of yes or no. And getting that rapport and getting that connection and really understanding what someone's situation is. Selling on a contract for deed could be a very intelligent way to sell for a lot of people. You know, what are you gonna do? Okay, you're gonna take your $300,000 and go do what with it now? I don't know. Put it in the bank in my savings and make 1%. That's ridiculous. Put in a certificate of deposit, make maybe 3 or 4%. Okay. Well, what if you could get 5 or 6% or 7% even, right? And backed by real estate, backed by your real estate. And you know, but of course, when I'm buying, I'm coming in the total opposite, right? So when I'm buying something, you know, like the last Airbnb I just bought, I mean, I'm coming in trying to get it, you know, I mean, I've purchased many things with no money down, literally zero, but that's, you know, rarer to come across. And if you really want something, you have to put something down, maybe. It depends on the situation, but you know, so it's kind of knowing the right things to say, how to say them, the questions to ask up front to know if it fits or not. And, you know, especially, you know, on the taxable sale, sometimes for the tax side, when somebody is going to have this huge tax burden that's coming, well, now if you sell it on an installment sale, that's deferred, and that might make a huge difference in their taxes, which of course we can't give tax advice and got to do our tax
Right.
disclaimer,
Right.
right? But just putting that idea in their head, and hey, I'm not going to tell you the answer. Go talk to your CPA, but they could tell you if this might make sense for you.
Okay.
So just getting people to be open-minded to it.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can't believe how many people I've purchased places from, never asked me my credit, never looked at anything,
Mhm.
right? And I just was able to get the deal done,
Right.
and closing in days or weeks, no
Right.
fees, no nothing else. Now, again, when we're on the flip side of it and we're buying a property for somebody who the bank's not going to touch, we got to see money down and we got to see all this stuff. But
Mhm.
it's kind of a different strategy.
Sure. So
So
remind me real quick, and then we're gonna have to wrap this up. But the benefit to lenders.
yeah,
So for me to connect with lenders, the benefit to them is like, I mean, obviously they can help somebody now,
yeah,
and they'll get the loan later, right?
yep.
But other than that, there's no real benefit to them right out of the gate, is there?
Well, I mean, they're going to look again like the hero to their client,
Right.
who's going to probably give them a raving review and testimonial, even though they didn't get the mortgage.
Right.
Right. So now they've got some testimonials, they've
Yeah.
got some social media material that they should be getting and using.
Mhm.
Right. They also have you coming back to them. Right. Or vice versa. So, I mean, especially if I'm talking to an agent directly, right, I would say for them talking to more agents, because think like we're kind of the mothership. You can
Mhm.
get people to us. You don't have to know it all. Just get them to us. Right.
Right.
So for a lender, if that lender is telling 5 or 6 or 10 agents, hey, no matter what, I can help your client, almost no matter what, right? It's not no matter what,
Right.
but close to no matter what, I can help your clients get a house, and I can help you still get paid your commission,
Mhm.
right? Why is that? Why would you as an agent go bring them to other places that don't know about that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So for them, it gives them more material for more agents to keep coming back to them, and for them to be the one-stop shop for getting things done.
Mhm.
The other thing is they can get investor mortgages with us. So our investors could go to them for financing. So they could get paid in the next 30 days, 60 days on deals because, we have that whole second side of our business.
Got it.
Yep. And like I said, I'm working on, this will be probably, I don't know, end of the year, beginning of next year, because we have so much things cooking right now, but I'm more of like a co-marketing plan, of course, that, is compliant and approved and all good, that we can go through where, we can provide more leads, right? So as a lender, hey, you were going to make nothing. They weren't going to get the house. Now they're getting the house. And now here's $1,000, towards marketing together that now you
Mhm.
go get qualified buyers for, and you are making money on it very soon. And then if they don't qualify, they can come back to us and we can still help them get something that would have been nothing. And it's
Sure.
kind of snowballs from there.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, good question. So, and hi, Pamela, by the way. I see Pamela on here, but
Yeah.
just her
I don't
little
know what just
thumbnail.
happened to my camera on there. That's weird. Um,
Oh,
well, thank you.
yeah.
I
Thank you
really
for having me.
appreciate all this information. So good. It was so good to meet you face to
Yeah,
face via Zoom.
I know. It was really
And
good.
I will probably be making some connections and reaching out to you to talk more. And this is going to be shared with our group. So I wouldn't be surprised if you hear from some others, because the information you shared is super valuable.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it so much. And yeah, we want to help agents close a lot more deals, help more people, on the investing side, anything I can do to help you there. If you want to have discussions on that, I love that. And, talk anything further coaching as well.
Okay.
Are you cool if we send just kind of some information out to you, Chrissy, or any
Yeah,
members of the team
please.
with their email?
Yeah,
Here's the
absolutely.
thing. This is what I like to kind of chat about this, especially up front, is we're a top of mind type of service. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
I'll even see a buddy of mine, a friend of mine I've known for years, but maybe we don't run into each other, 4 or 5 months, right? And I see a
Yeah.
guy, and that person will say, "Oh my God, Jesse!" Like they see me, and they think of the client they could have helped that they missed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So we really want to just kind of stay top of mind, and just send you an email, maybe shoot you a text every once in a while, because if there's someone there that
Yeah,
you can help, like these two
absolutely.
people, right? I mean, what are these 2 deals worth right here? That if we can make them happen, what sort of purchase prices are you looking at? Do you think?
Oh, that's where I'm kind of curious to hear how all that plays out. I think they're
Okay.
probably, I think Gabriella, they're probably 300 or less.
Okay.
The other one, she owns a nonprofit, that Delinea.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works. She owns a nonprofit, and she has, I don't know, she's fostering children. I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm not sure about her price point. I have another one too that just came to mind, and they're probably 350, 350 to 4.
Okay. Awesome.
So,
Who's that?
That's Doug Palm.
Doug Palm.
Hmm.
Okay. What's Doug's situation?
He's a pastor.
Okay.
They moved here, relocated here, I want to say a year and a half ago, and things really got messed up with their taxes during COVID.
Okay.
So they've been working on getting some things taken care of. They are working with one of the lenders in Nikki's group, but
Okay.
they might be we've been working with them for a year and a half, so I don't know how close they are. But he did just reach out to me again the other day. So
well, and so you bring up a really good point is, just the time. I mean, in a year and a half, like they could have already been getting close to refinance, and they could have got what they wanted a year and a half ago, potentially.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah. Well, let's definitely chat after this. Hit me up on those people. Let's chat.
Sounds good.
If anything, we can get on a phone call with them or a Zoom. And again, if you want to be on it, awesome. If you don't, that's awesome. Doesn't matter. And we'll see if it's a fit and, let you know either way.
Okay.
Sounds like we can make it work. So
perfect.
Right. Cool.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you. And yeah, we'll look forward to chatting again really soon.
Sounds good. You as well. Thank you for having me
Thank
on.
you.
I appreciate it. Yep.
All right.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.